As you may already know, my name's Clare Baker and I'm a former clutterholic and borderline hoarder. I successfully cleared all my clutter over 20 years ago without the need for an expensive home visit, and I've been helping people around the world do exactly the same ever since, so that they too can know what it's like to live a clutter-free life forever. One of my missions is to dispel a lot of decluttering myths that are perpetuated by most of the decluttering TV programs, books, and experts by explaining exactly why they are myths. So today I want to explain the most popular myth that keeps people trapped with their clutter. It's the myth that keeping your clutter saves you money. When we try to make decisions about the things in our clutter, we can often tell ourselves that we're going to keep things because we actually use XYZ. So we believe we're saving money by keeping it. There are 4 reasons why this myth is a myth. First, the belief that you need it or use it. If you're not using XYZ in the near future, for food and household items, this would be the next month. Hobby items would be the next 3 months. Clothes would be by the end of the appropriate season. Then how is it saving you money? If you're not using XYZ, then you're just storing things that you don't need. The only way you save money is by letting the shop store the things you don't need. The second reason this myth is a myth is because of dependent thinking. If you keep your clutter because you believe it's saving you money, you need to make sure that decision isn't based on dependent thinking. For example, lots of people will keep clothes because they tell themselves it's saving them money when they lose weight or gain weight, because they won't need to buy clothes in the new size. This is flawed thinking because it's dependent thinking. It's dependent on multiple things. It will only be true if you lose or gain the weight to be able to wear the clothes. It will only be true if you still like the clothes, if you start wearing them, if you lose or gain the weight to be able to wear them. It will only be true if the clothes are in fashion, if you lose or gain the weight to be able to wear them. It will only be true if you have the spare space to store all of the clothes while you lose or gain the weight. Newsflash, you can't predict the future, so dependent thinking will sabotage your decision making. The third reason this myth is a myth is because of the opportunity cost of keeping the things until you need or will use them. This is the value of what you lose when you make a choice between 2 options. In the case of clutter, the choice between keeping the clutter and letting go of the clutter. Now, many people focus on the cost of letting go of the clutter, what they paid for that item or what they believe it's financially worth. When people talk about their clutter saving them money, they're usually talking about the money they save in not having to replace it if they need it in the future. However, there's another more immediate cost, the cost of keeping the clutter. That might be the financial cost of storage, the cost of replacing it when you can't find it, when you actually need it, the increasing cost of repairs and maintenance, which can't be done because of the clutter, the cost of the time you spend looking for things in your clutter. For example, people often tell themselves that they'll put their excess or inherited furniture that they don't immediately need in their new home into storage. That way, they tell themselves if they need it, they will save money by not having to buy new furniture. However, they haven't acknowledged the opportunity cost of that storage unit. They have chosen to put their excess or inherited furniture in storage, believing they save money if they need that type of furniture in the future, or believing the inherited items are going up in value. However, they haven't acknowledged that it's going to cost them a monthly amount of money to keep the furniture in storage to be able to save that money in the future if they need the furniture, which isn't guaranteed. They usually tell themselves it's only temporary, it'll only be for 6 months or a year. But of course, it never is temporary, because once their things are in a storage unit, they're out of sight, out of mind. And unless you're checking your bank statements regularly, many forget that it's actually costing them money. Then it gets to a point where they've had their storage unit for so long that even when they do remember, or they get something on email or in the post or mail about their storage unit, and they suddenly remember that they've got it, they mentally calculate roughly how much it's cost them to store the things they haven't needed for so long. That usually triggers an emotional response. They feel guilty or stupid for having paid that amount of money to store things that were only supposed to be stored temporarily. They were planning to work on it and work out if they needed any of those things in 6 months or a year. Or they were planning to declutter to be able to bring that furniture home and use it. But they didn't. And although the sensible thing to do would be to bring home the things they put in storage to save the cost of the storage unit, they can't, because somehow the home has got filled up with new clutter. So there's no space. Then, due to something called the irrational escalation of commitment, they decide to keep the things in storage, and the cycle continues. The fourth and final reason this myth is a myth is because the bargains aren't one-time bargains. Lots of people want to keep their clutter because it saved them money when they bought 3,000 in one go, rather than the 3 they actually needed that week. The shops, both in person and online, are excellent in tapping into the way our brain works and getting us to believe we both need 3,000 widgets at a time. We'll use 3,000 widgets at a time, and that we're going to save a fortune buying 3,000 widgets in one go, regardless of how many we actually need. But you need to know 3 things to realize you're not saving money by buying and keeping 3,000 widgets. So first, how many widgets do you actually use in a month? Therefore, how many widgets do you actually need? Second, if 3,000 widgets cost £10 or $10 and 3 widgets cost £10 or $10, you're not saving any money buying 3,000 widgets, because you're paying for 2,997 more than you actually need. And third, if and only if you genuinely need 3,000 widgets, is that in your budget for this week? You also need to know that the promotional offers are usually on a 3-month cycle, and it's possible that when you actually need some more widgets, there will be a better promotional offer than the current offer. If you want to successfully clear your clutter forever, you need to stop believing this myth that keeping your clutter is saving you money. If you want to find out just how much your clutter is costing you, click on the link with this video to the free and instant clutter calculator to find out.